Welcome along to Oulton Park for round one of the Logson Group Porsche Championship for 2012. We've got a full grid of cars lined up for the opening round of the season here in Cheshire. And pole position today going to Gerry Taylor from Richard Styrin, Richard Sykes and David Bierman on the second row. We've got a new production class this weekend. That's headed by Stephen Brown. He lines up 11th overall. Second in class is Stephen Potts. Meanwhile, in the venerable 924s, Alistair Kirkham is on pole. Second place, Sean Siddle from David Hornsey. And fourth in class is James Atherton. Cars completing their reconnaissance lap here at Oulton Circuit, running on the international circuit today, 2.69 miles, so plenty of ups, downs, twists and turns to challenge the drivers in all three classes, and we'll talk to you about the new class as the race unfolds. But you can see Gerry Taylor on pole position as the drivers in the 924s at the rear end of the grid start to come into position, and we'll see the green flag from the back very shortly. And then we'll be ready to race as the nerves no doubt start to jangle at the front of the grid. There is the green flag, everybody's in position and ready for the opening race of the 2012 season. Slightly overcast skies here today at Oulton Park. Here's the view from Adam Croft in last year's champions car, and a great start from Richard Styrin. He hooks it up magnificently off second position on the grid, and he's got ahead of Gerry Taylor. Can he maintain the lead as they go down to Old Hall? Yes, he has. Gerry Taylor, we're looking at Gerry Taylor from the third place car, second position Taylor, but in the race lead it's Richard Styrin as they go down the avenue through Dentons, down towards Cascades for the first time. Richard Styrin, what a great hookup that was. You can't help but say Gerry Taylor's going to be a little bit disappointed with his start. The rest of them all through. Sometimes you get some shenanigans down through Old Hall and the avenue the first time, but driving standard superb as Richard Sykes looks up the inside of second place man Gerry Taylor as they go into Island Bend for the first time. Sykes in the Union flag liveried car. Fourth place in yellow and blue is David Bierman, and also yellow and blue is Steve Brown, pole position man in the Boxster production class. So Steve Brown having a good start. Car number 2, the man who was the 924 champion in 2011. And we're on board with one of the 924s. Still the place to come in and start racing these Porsches, the 924s. They've now been, this championship been running for over 20 seasons. And championship coordinator, current championship coordinator John Clark has introduced the production spec cars to breach the gap between the 924s and the current spec Boxsters, and you can get out on circuit in the production class for, we reckon, for less than £10,000. And then, of course, if you like the production spec and you do well in that, you can maybe move up to the full race spec, which is what we're looking at the moment, with Richard Styrin in lead position, the 41-year-old from Leeds, leading Gerry Taylor in second position. Taylor, the man who planted the car on pole in the qualifying session, and a great time, 1 minute 55.540, 3/10 quicker than the man who leads the race at the moment. And they come round to complete the lap here at Oulton Park. Richard Sykes in third position, David Bierman still there in fourth place. Mike Seller in 33, the yellow car, just heading up. Tom Andrew in 17. Adam Croft in the mix as well. The number 3 car there is John Bierman, same livery as his brother. You might remember last year that pair had reverse liveries, red, black and silver, so it was quite easy to tell the two cars apart. This year I think at the moment we're going to have to, unless we can identify something small on the car, rely on track position at the moment. David's got the better of his brother John at the moment by 2 or 3 places. Adam Croft at the back of that pack, the Martini livery car, is the one that was raced to the championship last year by Dave Clark, double champion. And Croft having a look here at John Bierman. He's at the back of the pack. Bierman keeping it tight as they come through Shell Oil's corner. Croft moving up from the 924s, second in the 924 championship behind Stephen Brown last year. And progression, that's really good to see, as we had a quick look at a couple of the 924s there. And Gerry Taylor, as they come down from Hilltop side by side, is he going to get the line? No, he isn't, as they come into his lops. So into the Knickerbrook part of the circuit, you can see the 924s spreading out, and in the background they're just going up to Shell Oil's corner. Great view across the circuit here, which is a superb place to watch. You can walk around most of the circuit, very picturesque. Footbridge there means you can go from the inside of the track to the outside and vary your viewing positions. It's a great circuit. You can't see all of the circuit from any one place, but what you can do is walk around and enjoy the scenery and enjoy the racing. That's what we're doing here. Now Richard Sykes won't be enjoying this view very much because he wants to be at the front, but he's down in third place at the moment. Still Rick Styrin leading from Gerry Taylor. If this pair squabble enough, they might slow each other up to allow the third place car of Richard Sykes to close in. And we saw some great racing last year from Sykes on a couple of occasions, taking the battle to double champion Dave Clark, who incidentally won both races here last year and won the two races here at Oulton in 2010 as well. The only driver statistically that got close to him was Gerry Taylor, the man in second position, who got fastest lap in race 2 last year. But other than that, the last 4 races here at Oulton all been dominated by Clark, took both pole positions as well. So Taylor perhaps carrying his form through as the best of the rest from the last 2 seasons and taking pole, but not a great start from him as we saw. Now Richard Sykes closing in, the third place car closing in on Gerry Taylor. So is Taylor going to lose second place as well as the lead off the line? Richard Sykes having a very good go in the 21 car. Sykes, who comes from Thirsk, chartered surveyor and managing director of Ranger Company, and off goes 33 Mike Seller. John Bierman involved as well. Those two off, they're off in the gravel on the outside of the corner. You can see that. We're on board with Stephen Brown. Both drivers okay. Brown busy challenging Sid Coombs in the 23 car and looks to try and go up the inside. Brown racing in the production spec car, I think possibly with a little bit more racing experience than Sid Coombs, and that's the beauty of the slower cars. The faster drivers can mix it with the slower drivers in the faster class and find some on-track action to deal with. As we look at Adam Croft, down behind Adam is Ian Loggie, championship sponsor of the Logson Group Porsche Championship. So a big thank you to Ian in the 24 car. Comes from Tarpley, so this is his home race. Had to travel just a couple of miles to come and race here this weekend. A great way to kick off the championship. As we go back to our leaders now, I was saying that Richard Sykes was getting closer to the 2 race leaders, but I think that has been negated just a little bit now as the leaders go up across the line again. Sykes perhaps taking a little bit of a breather. Pole position time here, 1:55.540 for Gerry Taylor. 0.373 seconds clear of Rick Styrin, but in the race spec, Richard Sykes the fastest man on circuit on lap 2, 1 minute 56.410 so far. So Sykes having perhaps the best of the drivers on cold tyres. Bit of smoke there coming out of the back of Rick Styrin's car. Does that is that a problem maybe for him? Let's have a look as he goes up into Island Bend. I think probably all is okay at the moment, but certainly it means Gerry Taylor might well have a go. Into Shell Oil's corner they go, and out of there, run down past Britain's, and then we'll see them as they come back over Hilltop here. And again Gerry Taylor taking the outside line, Sykes taking wide on, but Taylor switches back to the inside. Taylor thinks about looking down the inside, he's too far back, and Rick Styrin's got bags of racing experience, he won't be fazed by that. The number 99 car hangs on to lead position from pole position man Gerry Taylor, still there in second place. Richard Sykes in third. Dropping away a little bit at the moment is David Bierman, who by now of course will have seen his brother John's car out of the race with Mike Seller. So this one unfolding pretty well so far. There is Nick Hull, the driver's representative on the Formula car number 18, the great livery from Nick, who's running, he qualified in 12th position ahead of Sid Coombs. He of course found himself battling with Stephen Brown earlier on. Up across the line they come once again, and it's Styrin across the line still leading from Gerry Taylor in second position. The gap back to Richard Sykes, it's not a huge gap. The onboard camera just tends to accentuate it a little bit. Sykes gets a couple of wheels over the curb there. Now you can get 2 wheels over the curb, or more specifically the white line, which is the thing that marks the circuit perimeter. So we look at Steve Brown there in the production Boxster. If you get all 4 wheels over the white lines repeatedly, you'll get a penalty, a time penalty. But the leaders still hanging on and racing well, and Rick Styrin is controlling this one pretty well at the moment. But for my money, Taylor starting to look a little bit more aggressive. Wide lines they come into Shell Oils, that banked corner. David Hornsey in car number 14. Now has he got, he's coming into pit lane. So Hornsey coming into retirement. Disappointment for the 924 driver, but he kept out of the way of the leaders who go through once again. Look at this down the inside. Sid Coombs down the inside of Arjo Josh. Great to see Arjo back this year. The Sussex-based racer comes from Brighton, 44 years of age. Those two having a cracking scrap. And Sid Coombs trying to get the better of him. Now back to the front-end Boxsters. There is Adam Croft at the moment running in 5th position. Back marker coming up is Andrew Burrows. So Burrows in the purple 76 car moves wide, lets the leaders through. Through goes Richard Sykes as well. So good driving by Burrows. And the race leaders still continue on their way as Taylor again has a look up the inside as they come up to Lodge Corner, down through Deer Leap again. Taylor trying all sorts of things to try and get on terms with the race leader, but at the moment it is just not happening for him. He's just looking at different ways, and to be fair to Rick Styrin out front, he's making no mistakes at all. Here's Nick Hull in 18 who turns in. Nick dicing with the production spec car. There is car number 66, new driver to the championship, Cole Rossin, 43-year-old from Bedford, who is enjoying his racing. The race leaders continue on their way. Oh, problems for Tony Mekvinsky. Well, I'm sure he'll get on circuit again after this break.
All the excitement and action of Trans Am racing will be on GoRacingTV.com this season. You can keep up with all the action from the track each weekend during the 2012 Trans Am season, streamed to you over the internet daily. Now, quick videos keeping you in the middle of Trans Am action in the middle of your busy day. Watch your favorite drivers from your mobile phone or tablet with the new GoRacingTV.com app. But coverage doesn't end there. When the weekend's over, on your schedule, check out 30 minutes of Trans Am this week on GoRacingTV.com, GoTransAm.com, or on YouTube. Get the full behind-the-scenes look of the championship weekend. Trans Am has enjoyed a long racing history. Join us as we write the next chapter of that history. America's Road Racing Series, stepping into a new era of Trans Am racing.
Welcome back to Oulton Park, round 1 of the 2012 BRSCC Logson Group Porsche Championship. And just before the break we saw problems for Tony Mekvinsky, car number 27 in the 924s. There is Sean Siddle, who at the moment is running second in class behind Alistair Kirkham. And of course, as you'd expect, the more venerable 924s start to get eaten up by the race leaders. And we've got Gerry Taylor now in lead position. So Gerry Taylor has finally made it past Rick Styrin in second position. So Styrin down to second, and there's still a little bit of a way clear at the moment of Richard Sykes, who we ride on board with in third position. And let's see whether Rick Styrin's going to be able to get back past the race leader. So Taylor in front. Coming up towards the Full Warwick Bridge, we're going to just nip back down the order. Problem there, Arjo Josh over the grass in car number 44. Oh, it nearly spins it away. Sid Coombs down behind him. He's going to have a little bit more momentum. Nick Holt's coming up to play as well in the green and black car. Let's see whether Coombs can get past him. It looks like a good recovery from Arjo, but he's on the inside line, and Sid Coombs has made it past. So Sid Coombs did make that one stick. A little bit of action. It just goes to show how just a tiny moment offline, a little bit squirrely, and you lose hatloads of momentum, and he's lost a place. So back at the front, Rick Styrin hasn't lost momentum at all. He has lost the lead, but down through Dentons and into Cascades as we see Ian Loggy still running strongly and enjoying his race. There's Arjo Josh ahead of Nick Hull. Where is Sid Coombs? Let's have a look. Oh, he's still ahead of him. In fact, has pulled clear. The blue flag you saw going out for the slower cars, the 924s, who are probably going to wind up a lap adrift over this 20-minute race. And problems there for James Atherton in car number 6, the young driver from Preston, 21 years of age, just finished university. well, you can't blame him for a little bit of inexperience. And, you know, you're going to have that as you start out in your motorsport career. You can see the blue flag being waved there for the 924s as well. I think it might be Richard Jones, the white. He's certainly racing a white 924. 66, Carl Rossin, that we saw before the break, is involved in the mix there. And Tony McVinsky, after his excursion, he's got a dented door, just gets a wheel on the dirt there. Sykes through as well. You can see the speed differential between the 924s and the Boxsters. The 924 still a terrific place to join the championship. As we go back to the race leaders, and it is still Gerry Taylor that leads this one. The pole position sitter will feel vindicated, I think, at having got in the lead as he goes past the Paul Warwick Bridge. That's the one that gets us into the circuit here, from the outside of the circuit down into the paddock. So still there in car number 16, the race leader. And what, Stephen Brown takes her straight on there. Now, did he gain an advantage? If that's the case, he might well have a penalty. I'm wondering if Brown's got a problem in his production Boxster, and if he has got a problem, that's going to cede the win to Steve Potts in car number 25, as we look at Tom Andrew, car number 17, the 24-year-old from Bevington, raced in the GTI Cup last couple of seasons in the KTM Crossbow, and raced the Morgan Aero, third in the overall championship in 2011, and looking like a very valuable addition to the Logson Group Porsche Championship for 2012. But the race leaders are still there and cracking on with it. Richard Styrin still in second position. Through Shell Oils they go, and then they've got to head up towards Hilltop, and it is a problem for the production spec car, so it's going to be certainly a pit stop, if not a retirement, for Steve Brown. So the 924 champion doesn't start his production spec season particularly well, as we go back and look at Carl Rossin in the 924s running in fourth place and dicing for a podium with Tony McVinsky. So Tony, the 60-year-old from Cleveland, great to see him racing again after a fair old gap. Came back and raced last year. He's also raced in the Centurion Challenge, which I remember commentating on at Pembroke a few seasons ago, and Classic Saloons. Worked in Formula 1 with Bridgestone for a while as well. So you might say he was well and truly tired. As we look at 88, Chris Valentine in the black Boxster, mixing it with some of the 924s, and Rick Styrin's off! Rick Styrin from second position is off into the gravel. That has got to be race over for Styrin, because there's no momentum left in the car. He's going to be out of it, and this is going to leave Gerry Taylor with a decent lead. It's a couple of seconds now for Gerry Taylor. Here's the onboard view from Richard Sykes, and that is bitter disappointment for Rick Styrin. Not the way that you want to open the season. The drivers do have drop scores. The body language says it all for Rick Styrin, who made a superb start in part one of the programme and now throws it away, and that means he's got to do it all from the back of the grid in race 2, because remember, race 2, the grid based on the finishing positions from race 1. So Gerry Taylor it is, the 53-year-old from Haverhill, chairman of Taylors Foundry, and they've been regulars in the KTM Championship over the years, more so of course of late in the Porsche Championship. Racing cyclist from the age of 13, which I'm sure we mentioned last year, so a very competitive sportsman with whatever he does. Arjo Josh and Nick Hull now dicing for 8th position on circuit. So those two racing hard, but Gerry Taylor is still there, and not too much longer for him to go. As you say, he's got out a 3-second lead at the moment over Richard Sykes. David Bierman moves up onto the podium from 4th position. Adam Croft is going to be in 5th, Ian Logie in 6th position, and Sid Coombs up into 7th place, the man from Long Ditton. But let's go back and look at Tony McVinsky in car number 27, still heading Carl Rossin at the moment. That's the podium battle for the 924s. Alistair Kirkham, that we haven't had a look at yet, still leading that one, having converted pole position. Now Alistair actually had 2 Boxsters between himself and Sean Siddle in 2nd position in the 924s from qualifying, so that was a great performance from him. There is David Bierman in 3rd place, so Bierman looking to have consolidated a podium position at the moment. And we go back and have a look at this battle between Ian Logie and Tom Andrew in car number 17. Tom, the 24-year-old from Bevington, using all his sports car experience from the last couple of seasons to try and close in on the man having his home race, the championship sponsor. Now you can see it's Tony McVinsky in the traffic, so Nick Holt's going to have a look down the inside. You can see the difference there in the handling characteristics between the 924s and the Boxsters. Nick Holt powers his way through, losing a little bit of ground to Arjo Josh at the moment in car number 44. Past Rick Styrin's car in the gravel. Ian Loggie still there ahead of Tom Andrew. So this is the battle for 5th position. Loggie acquitting himself well. So too is Tom Andrew in the 17 car. And the Taylors Foundry car still out front. You can see the gap between himself and Richard Sykes. Sykes not lost too much ground at the moment, so he'll be, I don't think he won't be too unhappy about getting a 2nd position. It's a good solid start to the championship for both these guys. And Rick Styrin, of course, has now got to drop that non-finish. Battle for 5th place continues. Tom Andrew then still trying to put pressure under Ian Loggie. He's not quite close enough, I don't think, to make a manoeuvre on him. Meanwhile, heading towards the checkered flag now, it's Gerry Taylor who's going to open his account for 2012 with a race win. Here comes Gerry Taylor, and there is the checkered flag. Gerry Taylor takes a superb win here. First round of the Logson Group Porsche Championship. There is David Bierman who takes 3rd place. Adam Croft's going to be 4th, but we're looking at the battle for 5th position now as Ian Loggie comes up the hill. He's got Andrew Burrows in front of him. Well, I can tell you that Loggie has taken 5th position ahead of Tom Andrew, but the man who takes the first win of the season, Gerry Taylor, and disappointment for Rick Styrin, who winds up in the gravel.
Yeah, I managed to get the car off the start quite well. Managed to got the car up behind Sykes into the first corner, and followed the train, as it were, into Shell. Unfortunately, after the 2nd lap, I missed my gear change up after Falston's chicane, so we opened the gap somewhat, and the net result of that was basically I ended up most of the race sort of on my own. The meat in the sandwich, as it were, between the front pack and the pack behind me. So at that time, I thought, to keep it consistent and just bring it home. Fortunately, I inherited, obviously, Rick Styrin's position after he went off, but I suppose to finish first you got to finish. So yeah, I'm chuffed with that. Was off the pace yesterday. Car's newly out, newly rebuilt after last season. So yeah, first time out. Yeah, dead chuffed.
Well, I had a difficult start. I was waiting for another green flag lap, so I caught on the hop a little bit coming off the line. Jerry bogged down a little bit. Richard Styrin got away, so we're just a bit patient and a bit polite at the start. And then I was just chasing these guys, just really pushing the car hard to stay up, no chance of really catching them. Unlucky for Richard, lucky for me, he made a mistake at Druids, which gifted me 2nd, really. So, every cloud is a silver lining, so I feel sorry for Richard, but I capitalised on it. Fairly average race, had to punish the car just to keep up with these guys, so I need to find some pace from somewhere.
Well, good start to the season. 2 edge to my sword. There's myself driving, and I've got my teammates. Richard Styrin was one of my teammates. We crossed the front line together on the grid. So I was pole, Richard was 2nd. He got a far better start than me. I mean, hats off to Richard there. Fantastic. Gathered my thoughts, got myself up to speed again after the first lap. Thought I'm not going to take a major dive down his inside and potentially sort of knock my teammate off and myself. So I thought, let's just give him a bit of pressure. Unfortunately, I think the pressure got to him. I'm guessing he made a bit of a mistake. Gear changing coming out of Shell just before Falston's. I managed to get past him. The pressure was even more once he was in 2nd place, and he spun into Druids. Very sad to see him going off backwards into the gravel. Nothing's damaged. We've got another race this afternoon. So in 2 hours' time, we'll see how we all get on. But very pleased with myself.
Here's the result from round 1. Gerry Taylor takes the win from Richard Sykes and David Bierman. They're the 3 drivers that we just heard from. 4th position, Adam Croft ahead of Ian Loggie, and in 6th position, Tom Andrew. A great start for the Boxsters this weekend. On to the 924s and production. The Boxster Productions won by Stephen Potts, making history there. Alistair Kirkham wins the 924s from Sean Siddle and James Atherton. Join us after the break for race 2.
With so much racing going on in the world, you'd have to be a four-headed monster to keep up with it all. Luckily, we have that. Join Peter Keene, Bill Wood, Errol Tucker, and their guest driver analyst each week for an opinionated look at the news coming out of the racing world. Remember, it's GoRacingTV.com for all your racing and video needs.
Welcome back to part 3 of the opening round of the Logson Group Porsche Championship. Here's the grid for race 2 of the season. The grid determined on the results in respective classes of race 1. So pole position, Gerry Taylor from Richard Sykes, David Bierman and Adam Croft. The production Boxsters, Stephen Potts ahead of Stephen Brown, and in the 924's pole position to race winner Alistair Kirkham, Sean Siddle alongside him, then it's James Atherton and Tony McVinsky. And I'm sure we're going to have some cracking race action in this one, as we did in the first race, as we look at car number 23, Sid Coombs. They had a good race in race number 1. The question that everyone is asking though is, will it be possible for Gerry Taylor to make it a double, as we saw Dave Clark do in 2010 and 2011. The 924 form coming here, Alistair Kirkham taking a double in 2010, Stephen Brown double in 2011. And there are the 924s at the back of the field. And away they go. Look at a great start in yellow. David Bierman slices through the front row cars and takes the lead as they go down towards Old Hall Corner for the first time. A superb start by Rick Styrin in race 1, and that was bettered, I think, if possible, by Bierman, who leads them away. We're on board. In fact, no, he's lost the lead. He's lost the lead. Gerry Taylor's got back past them as they go down Denton's into Cascades for the first time. Gerry Taylor back into the lead. Great fight back on lap 1 from Gerry Taylor, but David Bierman in 87, lightning start, and from 3rd on the grid ahead of Richard Sykes. Now, does that mean that Sykes needs to get his start sorted out? I mean, he looked pretty good to me, and he's running in 3rd place. We know he's got the race pace because he had fastest lap in race 1. Now, down to Shallow Hills Corner for the first time. Through come the field. There's Adam Croft going through. Nick Hull chasing the 53 car of Dave Hughes. Looks up the inside line and Hull's through. Hughes has started ahead of, got ahead of Sid Coombs in the early stage. So Coombs perhaps not the best starter either in this one. This is the onboard view again from Richard Sykes up the hill and now down towards the chicane. Turn 11 on the circuit, turns 10, 11 and 12, the 3-corner complex. Hislops is the chicane, which is where they're at now. The last part of the chicane called Knickerbrook, where the second circuit commentator sits. It's a great vantage point. And then the climb up Clay Hall, then towards Druids Corner, where we lost Rick Styrin last time, and then down into Lodge Corner, which is where we catch the cars. This is Druids Bend, this is where we lost Styrin. So under the circuit entry bridge up towards Lodge Corner, which you can see in the distance where the cars are heading now. The final corner on the circuit, the 16th out of Deer Leap, you can count as a curve as well, turn 17, which is where they are now, and up across the line to complete another lap. So Rick Styrin's coming into play there. You can see the 4th place car. Rick Styrin starting at the back of the 15 Boxsters by virtue of being the I say right at the back of the field. We had Mike Seller as well towards the back of the field, because Mike Seller and John Bierman were out of the first race. Then we lost Steve Brown in the production box to Rick Styrin. So gaggle of 3 924s, including Rebecca Jackson, who's out in this one, car 0, and Rebecca about to have a look there at Richard Jones in the white car. Looks down the inside line as they go into Old Hall, the first corner, but back up the sharp end. David Bierman still running in 2nd in yellow and blue. Then it's the Union flag livery of Richard Sykes being chased by Rick Styrin. Now Styrin, remember, has come from the back of the grid, so good pace from Rick Styrin. On board we go with the 3rd place driver, and this looks very good indeed from Richard Sykes out of the Britain's complex. and up over Hilltop. Race leader Gerry Taylor starting to build a little bit of a lead over the second place man David Bierman. Lap times in this one, well, pretty comparable with race 1. Down to the chicane they go. Gerry Taylor will just be keeping his head down, trying to keep him. Be quite happy to see a gaggle of cars behind him, because the three of them will probably play a little bit of cat and mouse with each other, and that will slow them up. Effectively, the second place car, the lead car of the bunch, will be going slightly defensive now as Rick Styrin looks for third place, sticks his nose down the inside of Richard Sykes. He's looking for third position as they round Druids, now up towards Lodge Corner. Nice, good, straight run that you've got here, and if you place the car on the inside, can maybe have a look down the inside. There isn't room for him to do it at the moment, and to be fair, he's not quite close enough at the moment to Richard Sykes. Now through Dearly, down the dip they go. The drivers will be feeling the ups and downs of this circuit for sure, and Sykes challenging for second position. We're looking at, from the third place car, at the second position car, dab on the brakes as they go into Old Hall, then down the avenue. Appropriately trees either side, off the circuit goes Sykes, gets a couple of wheels off. Now we're looking to see whether Rick Styrin's going to make a move either side. Can't see him at the moment. Sykes keeping it nice and tight as they go through turn 3. Cascades now along Lakeside. He loses a couple of lengths, and you can see a real picturesque circuit, this real nice tree line circuit. We haven't really got too much time to admire the scenery as David Bierman continues this run in second position. Are we going to get another podium here from Bierman in this race? Sykes on the back pedal a bit. Great view of the banking that you get as they come through Shell Oil's corner on this full circuit. Remember, 2.69 miles around here, and Sykes giving us a good run. Now up into the Britain's complex, slows them down just a tad. The island circuit rejoins there as well, one of the second shorter of the two configurations. Up over Hilltop, down towards the chicane complex that we get at Hislops, which they go through now, and you can see the race leader Gerry Taylor is through and away, and he'll start putting pressure on the tail end 924s very shortly. We do expect that. Now, the last race, the car squeezed out 11 laps out of it. I'm wondering, I think at the moment the pace indicates that they'll probably get to 11 laps in this one as well. Sykes on board, really giving us a terrific view of this circuit, and how hard he's got to work to stay in tune with David Bierman in second position. Good scrap going on behind them. With Croft, he looks up the inside. The door was left open there. Sykes trying to get down the inside line, but of course if you go tighter into the corner, it's going to compromise your corner speed, and he loses a little bit of momentum on the exit of the corner. Up over the grid lines, reels off another lap, loses a bit of ground, but will come and have another fight. Here's the view front on. You can see Sykes is not only attacking in the red, white and blue car, he's having to defend as well from Rick Styrin in fourth position. Styrin, bags of smoke coming out the back of that car. Up into fifth position, we've got Tom Andrew. So Tom Andrew in fifth position, he is going to be a front runner before too much longer. I think we can safely say, not wanting to put the curse of the commentator or any undue pressure on him, but he's nearly up with this top quartet of cars, Tom Andrew, having dealt with Ian Loggy. He finished behind Loggy in the first race. There is Andrew at the back of the lead 5 cars. Let's see if we can see who's in sixth position. It's Ian Loggy in sixth position. Adam Croft down behind them as well. Arjo Josh in 44 has got ahead of Adam Croft. There is Arjo, the West Sussex based driver. Comes from Brighton. And down behind him, Adam Croft, who is having his first race in the Boxsters, the Martini livery. Mike Seller behind him after he's off in the first race, seems to be clear of John Bierman. So, in fact, no, John Bierman, a non-starter in this race. 10 as we look again at this challenge going on for second position. We've got a cracking scrap going on between these three. And Sykes now coming under pressure. Well, we just change shot and go back and have a look at car number 11, Sean Siddle, second position in the 924s, scrapping with James Atherton. So Atherton, remember, on the podium in the first race, and I think has got himself up into second position. Yes, he has. So that was second position in the 924s for James Atherton. Very good progress for Atherton. So the ex-Red 60 car, Atherton really acquitting himself well. and could well be a championship challenger for the 924s. We'll see how that pans out over the course of the season. Just a momentary look at Adam Croft and company, a little bit further back, 6th and 7th position, as Bierman's lost out now, so David Bierman down into 4th position, Rick Styrin up to 3rd, so it was a mistake from Bierman, drops him down the order. Still Tom Andrew in 5th position behind this trio of cars, and look at that, Bierman doesn't look overly happy with the handling of his car, back end nearly, well, stepping out of line there, and he's losing ground on the 2 cars in front of him. Race leader still Gerry Taylor, black and white car, leading, coming towards camera. Richard Sykes in 2nd position. 3rd place is Rick Styrin, who started, remember, at the back of the grid, the 15-car grid, so he's worked his way through in the opening couple of laps. And I suppose the big question is that taken very much out of him or machine, as Sykes gets the rear wheel on the curb there on the exit of Knickerbrook as they head up towards Clay Hill towards Druids. So Sykes still in 2nd position, Styrin in 3rd place, David Bierman dropping back in 4th and possibly into the clutches of Tom Andrew. Let's see whether Tom Andrew can close him down. Gerry Taylor still circulated pretty well. Fastest man on track is Rick Styrin, the red car with the white stripes, 1 minute 56.637 seconds. Fastest in the Boxsters is Steve Brown, who is ahead of Stephen Potts, and he'll be hoping to carry on as we go back and look at Arjo Josh in 44, being chased by Mike Seller, and then Sid Coombs in the 23 car. I think is very much enjoying his racing here. So 21 Richard Sykes continues on his way, and looks like he might be able to grab another podium here for Rick Styrin. This is going to be the start of his season in terms of finishes, as he tries to get another step up. Remember that it was Sykes who had the fastest lap in race 1 at the moment. Rick Styrin, fastest man in this one. But of course it's all about race wins, and Gerry Taylor's got one of those under his belt and looks pretty comfortable here. Very consistent, very smooth, and this is going to be very good style for him. A double if things stay the way they are here at Oulton Park. Whether they do stay the same, of course, we'll see after the break.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at Go Racing TV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
Welcome back to Oulton Park, race 2 of round 1 of the 2012 BRSCC Logson Group Porsche Championship. It's Richard Sykes in 2nd position. Down behind him, Rick Styrin in car number 99. Styrin, a non-finisher in race 1, and has battled his way through to come up to position. Here is Tony Mekvinsky in 27, dicing it out with car number 88, Chris Valentine. Good to see Chris in the championship. A little bit further up the order, car number 23, Sid Coombs. 33 is Mike Seller, who non-finished in race number 1. So those guys enjoying their race. Through the back marker traffic though go the lead Boxsters. Gerry Taylor still out front. Richard Sykes in 2nd position. Rick Styrin in 3rd place. Looks like David Bierman has lost a little bit of ground on the leaders. We go back and have a look at Mike Seller in car number 33, trying to make a little bit of progress. The 47-year-old from Sittingbourne in Kent. Got to say, the driver demographic, all drivers from all over the UK taking part. There's not one area that you get in some formulas, and everyone gets together, has a great time. Really good camaraderie in the pit lane as Gerry Taylor goes through ahead of this battle for 2nd position. Still going on to see some of the 924s getting into lap territory, and this is great for the leaders because they have to think about how they're going to lap these back markers. So although Gerry Taylor hasn't got too much to worry about in terms of the people attacking him, he has got to be able to deal with those slower cars that still form a really good class C now in the championship. and the one that originated it all. There is car number 7, that's Alistair Kirkham, race leader in the 924s, double winner here before in 2010, took a double, and last year it was Stephen Brown. Of course, he's moved on to the production Boxster class this year. Class C for the 924s, Class B the production Boxsters, running the 986 model in standard form, and then Class A the main class, and I'm sure all the other drivers will forgive me for calling it the main class, but up to 280 brake horsepower in the modified Boxsters, which we're again looking at now. Arjo Josh coming under pressure from Sid Coombs. These two having a good old scrap here, with Mike Seller down behind them, and Seller's worked his way through quite a few cars as well, because remember he non-finished in the first race of the day with John Bierman going off at Shell Oil's corner. And those three, oh, and down the inside there, good move I think by Sid Coombs. Now we've got a retirement in, that's going to be James Atherton in car number 21 pulling off. The youngster who was running up in the podium positions. Our disappointment for him. It's going to be good news for Anthony Mekvinsky and Rebecca Jackson, who are climbing their way through the field as well. But here comes this scrap for second position. Waved yellows means that they can't overtake. Yellow flag zone means that a driver may be extricating himself from the car, so no overtaking the other cars as they come past. Otherwise they'd be liable for a time penalty, or maybe even points or a fine. Points on their racing licence, we should say, as Rick Styrin still continues to hound Richard Sykes for second position, trying to look back, see whether David Bierman's anywhere, and he does seem to have dropped away. I think the handling on his car seems to have headed west just a little bit, which is a great shame for him, as he gave us some really good action, particularly at the start, where he climbed his way through into lead position, ceded the lead back to Gerry Taylor, who is over and away. Now let's have a look at lap times from race 1 to race 2. Fastest lap in race 1 a 156.4, and Rick Styrin's best lap in this one so far, back on lap 5, 156.637. In the 924s, Alistair Kirkham again is the fastest driver with a 2 minute 6.9. It's only 4 seconds away. It's not a huge differential between Class A and C. So Class C, the 924s, they're the ones with the heritage, and still a great place to come in and learn your craft in this championship. Carl Ross in there, the white 924 with the yellow wheels, is lapped. There's Stephen Brown currently leading the production Boxster class. Just the 2 cars starting off in the production Boxsters, as we said, and a modest start, but now people have seen them out there and know how cost effective it's going to be to race them. There are going to be a lot more of those on the grid, I feel sure, by the end of the season, as Tony Mekvinsky gets lapped in the red and yellow car. There's Rebecca Jackson, the racing journalist, running second in class at the moment. This is an excellent performance from Rebecca, just indicating that she's going to pull out of the way, and Richard Sykes knows which way to go. I think really none of Rebecca's fault, but Gerry Taylor managed to get past at an opportune time and has extended his lead here. Challenge for second position as Sykes goes a little bit wide, and Styrin's got his nose up the inside in 99. Sykes comes across. That telltale puff of smoke again out of Rick Styrin's car, and Sykes is giving him room, and Styrin's going through on the inside. He's up into second place. Brilliant manoeuvre by Rick Styrin, up into second position ahead of Richard Sykes, and Styrin's been trying to work that out lap on lap. What a great manoeuvre. Rick Styrin up into second position in the 99, and Sykes retakes him. Richard Sykes repasses him going into Old Hall, the first corner. Look how much momentum, he goes wide. We've seen him go wide before, and now back down the outside line as they come down into Denton's. Richard Sykes, you just saw him there. Are they going to give each other room as they come down into Cascades? Yes, they are. Sykes still there in second position. What a fantastic piece of motor racing from those two as we go back to Mike Seller in car number 93. Ahead of him is Arjo Josh, and challenging him now is Sid Coombs, who looks round the outside line. There's action absolutely everywhere in the Boxsters at the moment. It's a job to know where to point the cameras. So Josh ahead of Coombs. Now we go back to Ian Logie, championship sponsor, car number 24, dicing it out with Adam Croft, and that car there, the Martini livery, that car there is the championship winning car from last year, and Adam Croft's enjoying it, second in the 924 championship last year. And look at this battle for second position. It's still Richard Sykes hanging on to it at the moment. Rick Styrin in car number 99 in third place after getting his nose in front and taking the lead as they went down into Lodge Corner on the last lap, and I think he's going to have another go and try and get back into lead position. Back to Arjo Josh. This is the battle for 8th place at the moment, these two. Mike Seller down in 10th position, and down behind them it's Stephen Brown, but ahead of those we go back to Ian Logie and Adam Croft. Ahead of Ian Logie, we can't see him, it's Tom Andrew and David Bierman. We haven't seen Bierman for a while. He's dropped away from the lead trio, and now we're starting to get again these cars coming up to lap some of the back marker drivers. It's Alistair Kirkham in car number 7 who's the leading 924, and he's somewhere. Go, Rick Styrin's gone! Rick Styrin spins, they go down into the first corner. Who's looking at the inside line? Wheel over the dirt. Now something broken on Styrin's car. He, I think, is going to be out of the race as we go back now. Ian Logie, car number 24, still with Adam Croft there. Those two having an absolutely super dice. It does look, though, like Rick Styrin's managed to rejoin. He was the fastest man. He remains the fastest man on circuit. That 156.637, an average of 83.08 miles per hour. But unless you can hook up several fastest laps, it ain't going to count too much in terms of championship points. And sadly, he is away now from that, and he's way down the order after that off. So great driving from Styrin, who keeps it to the inside as past him go Adam Croft and Ian Logie. Looks like Rick Styrin has been unlapped by Tony Mekvinsky, who's running 3rd in the 924. So podium potentially on for Tony, as Rebecca Jackson. It's been some good driving for Rebecca, really very much aware of those fast cars coming through. But we're on to the last lap of the race now. Time very nearly up. 2 20-minute races each weekend, plus of course the qualifying times. There is Andrew Burrows, who again moves wide, so we've seen some exemplary driving from the 924s this weekend, as Gerry Taylor now heads up under the Warwick Bridge for the last time. Quick look back down the order now. Ian Logie is in 5th position. This is the battle for 5th. Adam Croft in 6th place. Then down behind them it's Sid Coombs and Arjo Josh. They're climbing up the hill. Adam Croft, certainly a very potent piece of machinery, the ex-Dave Clark double championship winning car that he has got. But we go up, there's David Bierman, haven't seen him for a long time, still running in 3rd place. That's Tom Andrew chasing him as well. So Tom Andrew up battling for podium positions, but here comes Gerry Taylor, who takes the flag. 2 out of 2, a perfect weekend for Gerry Taylor, who wins both races in the Boxsters. Richard Sykes has finished in 2nd position. David Bierman was 3rd, and we're looking at the scrap for 5th position behind Tom Andrew, who takes 4th place. Ian Logie in 5th position from Adam Croft. Adam's keeping up the battle as they come through Deer Leap, and it'll be checkered flag time for them. Up across the line they come. There is Sid Coombs, who's running in 7th place, with Arjo Josh behind him. Then Mike Seller in 9th place, and down further behind them is the first class B runner Stephen Brown, who's still running in the production Boxster. He will be very pleased to get his production Boxster home for a first win for him. But the checkered flag goes out, and it's Gerry Taylor there in car number 16 waving to the marshals and happy with his race. Here's someone who's unhappy with his. Rick Styrin, a miserable first meeting here at Oulton Park. Top 6, Gerry Taylor, Richard Sykes, David Bierman from Tom Andrew. 924 won by Alistair Kirkham. The production Boxsters won by Stephen Brown. And it's podium time here at Oulton for the top 3 drivers.
In fairness, a really good start. Quite surprising, got away really well off the line and created a sandwich between Gerry and Richard. And I thought I'd be kinder. I'm not experienced enough to close the door on Gerry. Thought it could be quite expensive, so Gerry went through. But for a couple of laps, I held my own, and Sykes got the best of me in the end. But 3rd, I'm dead chuffed for that.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it as well, so I expected being able to get past you easily. And he didn't leave you, and you didn't leave me, so it was a really good couple of laps. And then best bit of racing I had was with Richard Styrin. Unfortunately for him again, he didn't get a good result on that one, but 2nd, I'm happy with that again. Well done to Gerry again.
Thanks very much. Yeah, another great race. It's just sort of showing where this championship's going, I think, and great to see Dave up there. I mean, pretty much taking the first corner on the first lap there, but he's got some new decals on his car, so I think he was thinking about those and thought, give me a little bit of space. Apart from that, I'm really pleased. 2 wins in the first time out. Great stuff.
Gerry Taylor takes the championship lead to Snetterton, where you can join us next time.